But it's so hard sometimes to not brag when you're fucking right all the time. It's fucking hard not to brag. What does one do? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. My whole life, I just seem to keep being right about everything. And, you know, I don't expect accolades or anything, but it's just kind of amazing. I mean, I'm sort of amazed that nobody's going, wow, this guy's been right about so many things. Like, wow, maybe he should like run for president or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm really not trying to have like an ego about it, but when I stand here and I look at my track record about things, um, I just have a really good intuition of things. That's all. I'm really. It's like it's not like. I mean, it's not like I'm winning in all areas of life or anything. I don't have like a great relationship, and I'm not. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. I seem to have some kind of weird intuition. I don't know if it's psychic or if it's just sort of seeing things. I can't explain it, but I'm just like, okay, with Bitcoin, I knew from the get-go that Bitcoin was the real deal, okay? I'd been through so many failures by the time Bitcoin rolled around. I knew that it was the thing, okay? And I was telling everybody about it and asking people's opinions, and they all thought it was stupid. And they all made fun of it. Up until just a few years ago, you know? And the weird thing is, for the most part, people that like, I know people that like made fun of me for it, and they don't even really like, they don't really go back and be like, oh, you were right. They just kind of go like, oh, like some people will even be like, oh, I wish I'd bought some, but they won't be like, yes. Hey, what's up, man? CDD barbecue. It's like people will be like, oh yeah, I wish I'd bought some, but they don't remember like that they were saying you were wrong. You know what I mean? Like it'd be nice if like they kind of went back and be like, yeah, I guess I should have acknowledged that you were right. You know, like some people don't seem to like admit stuff. That's my experience. How's it going, Caden? And but you know, I mean, for me, good. For me, what I realized is like, you can have really strong instincts and intuitions, and then like not even fully believe in yourself as strongly as you should. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the number one skill is learning to believe in yourself as number one. Like your instinct is just, because you could have like the perfect idea what to do, but then 10 people around you are telling you 10 different things, throws you off track. 10 years later, you should have listened to your initial thing. Do you know what I mean? Because you know what? Being talented and intelligent does not necessarily equate with the confidence to follow through on your intuitive inklings. Okay? Do you know what I mean? A lot of people that make it in like entertainment or whatever, they're not even the best. They're just the most confident. You know, like Bono talks about when he was in U2, he wasn't even a singer when he started. He just like wanted to be involved with the band somehow. And he was just like, at first he was like, I'll even manage the band, whatever. He was just like, wanted to be around it. He wanted to be around music. And then he just started singing and just was like, made himself get good at it. You know what I mean? But like, some of you people are just so talented that you take your talent for granted, and you don't have confidence because you've been talented for so long that you don't even understand that you're talented. You know what I mean? That's why, like, a lot of talented people just get lazy, because it's like, when something comes easy for you, you just kind of take it for granted, you know? So the trick is to not get lazy when you realize you have a talent. It's not easy though. I mean, because also a lot of times people that are talented are prone to like depression or, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, I think that the trick is, okay, say you're super talented in an artistic measure. It's good to temper that with business. Like, I know someone who's like a super awesome drummer, super talented producer, and he went to Berklee School of Music, and you know what he studied there? He studied music business. Because it's like, oh, I'm already good at drums. I'm already good at music. I might as well study the music business, become more well-rounded, right? And not just be another talented person trying to get hired somewhere, but actually understand the boring aspects of the business. See, you could be like, you could have all the talent in the world, but you have to understand the boring aspects of copyright, business, corporate. And a lot of times when you're an artistic person, you don't want any part in that. But if you just go like, I'm going to put 10% into that boring stuff, you'll be ahead of the curve. I don't know. It's just, I'm just going off of stuff I think about, you know, and I just don't want people to suffer in the way that I've suffered. And by that, I mean, if you have a talent, go straight to it and just go straight for it. And don't second guess yourself, and don't listen to other people. The thing is, if you develop your intuition and you tap into like your own divinity, you don't need to think anybody else has a higher answer than you yourself. And yeah, maybe you're listening to me right now and going, okay, that's cool. Like, but you don't, but even me, like, I don't know as well for you what's good for you. But I'm just here to tell you that. I'm not here to tell you any other advice besides the fact that you need to get in touch with your higher self and listen to your higher power and not listen to other people. Because when you listen to other people, that's what throws you off, you know? The people that make it are just stubborn, and they know how to listen to their inner voice, and they know how to block out all the naysayers. And that's better than being talented. Because I've got like a lot of talent and a lot of creativity and a lot of ideas, but my self-confidence is not high. It's not like I mean, there was etchings of self-confidence in me, but it wasn't developed, you know? And it's like, you have to work on the confidence part more than the talent part. You know what I mean? You have to work on feeling good, feeling healthy, feeling exuberant, ecstatic. You got to get into that space, right? you got to like break up your day, right? Your day has to be a lot of different elements. You got to get good amount of sleep. You got to get healthy food. You got to get enough money to pay for all this good food, right? So you're either working or you're investing. I recommend Bitcoin, but I'm also not financial advice. So, but I mean, what I've been doing is just getting shitty jobs and buying Bitcoin. That's my, or even just selling shit and buying Bitcoin. That's my whole thing, you know. And I'm not even close to rich, but I'm not as poor as I was. But of course, I'm 49, so I should be even farther than I am, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is like, I just want to like not ever have to fucking work at a job again where someone's like, okay, take this clipboard, you got to do this and that. And you're just all, okay, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, yeah, you know, you're just like, oh, yeah, you know, like, you know what I mean? I just never want to do that anymore. Like, you're like, I remember like this one job I had, it was just like, okay, you got to go get some, you got to, you know, working in the kitchen. Okay, you got to get this and this and this and this out of the thing. And just, I don't know. It wasn't even that bad. You know what I mean? It wasn't that bad, but it's just, actually, to be honest, I would do that job right now because I need more money. Just because I want to buy more Bitcoin. But I don't know. I should have left that job on more positive. I got kind of pissed off there. But that's the other thing, though. You can get inspiration out of a corny-ass job. I swear to God. You can get some corny-ass job and write a book about it. You could write a script while you're doing Uber. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about sort of like your whole life is like a movie, right? So it's never really boring. Even when you got a boring job, you get like all these stories out of it, right? When I think of like the worst jobs I've had, those are like the best stories. Although I've had some pretty bad jobs, man. Now I really understand those people whose parents are just like, you got to get good grades, man. You know, I think honestly, if I was a parent right now, I would make my kids do good at school. Just so that like, what I would do is like, I would be like, just hurry up and do the school, get the good grades, and get the bachelor's out of the way. So you have that. And then go do whatever the hell you want. Like actually, I think a good thing to do is to finish high school as soon as you can. Like maybe opt out early, you know, and then go straight to community college. Get your bachelor's by the time you're like 20, 21. And then it's just there for you. You know what I mean? And if you want, you could go teach English in Japan or something because now you have your bachelor's degree, right? I don't have my bachelor's degree, but I mean, the weird thing is it's like, if you just do your bachelor's degree straight out of high school and finish it, it's easy. But when you go back to school, all of a sudden you find out there's all this math you need to do because you didn't do enough math in high school. What I would say is like, do as much freaking all that shit in high school, get as much of that shit as you can out of the way. And then like that senior year when everyone's sloughing off anyway, just go straight to community college Get as many units as you can. Go study interesting shit. Go study like international affairs. That stuff's interesting, man. You know, there's a lot of interesting stuff to study. Study psychology. Study religion if you want, you know. Study music. Just get that bachelor's degree, you know. And don't even spend a lot of money on it. You can get almost most of it done at community college and then go to like some like, you know, cheap ass state school somewhere. But just have that fucking degree, you know. And a lot of people say, who needs a degree? But you know what? It's still good to have, you know? Because then if you want to go to law school or if you want to get a master's in counseling down the line or whatever you want to do, you can. Yeah, you could still go to trade schools and all that. You could still like learn to be a plumber. But the thing about being having a bachelor's is like you learn how to learn. You know what I mean? You learn how to, you know. I mean, for me, what happened was I went to community college and it was pretty cool. But then I went to India and I kind of like got into this travel bug mode when I was like 18. And then when I came back, I was so like culture shocked that then I went to North Carolina and I just wanted to like make money. So I just wanted to work a lot. So I just worked a lot so I could get a car. And then I went back to school that next year. But then like I did like a whole year of school. But then I wanted to just like go be an actor in LA. I went to LA in 97. And then like after all that, like trying to get into movies and extra work and stuff, I was like, I want to do like real acting, like theater. Like, I don't even care if I don't get paid. I want to do like the real acting. So I went and did some theater and I took some film school classes in 98, you know. And then in 99, I went back to LA. I was working at the airlines and then I lost my job. And then I was like, fuck it to hell, dude. I'm just going to be a songwriter. And I just started going to songwriting open mics and I was just focusing on songwriting, you know? And then I went back and got another airline job in my hometown. And, you know, I was just writing songs and traveling and then I went to Hawaii. And then I took my first dose of acid right before the year 2000. Or no, that was the year 2000. Then it was 2001. Then I came back. I thought about moving to Seattle. I drove up to Seattle. That didn't really work out. I drove back. I went to Israel for like 2 weeks. I went to New York. I came back. I lived back in Roanoke Park with some friends. I worked at a group home. Then 9/11 happened. Then I worked at another group home. I worked at a restaurant. Hey, what's up? The quick guy. And then I was like, I got to go to Europe, man. I went to Europe when I was 26, man. I went on a whirlwind trip. I went like, it was like this, dude. It was Brussels, dudes and dudettes. Brussels, Athens, Macedonia, Poland, Prague, and Budapest. Yeah. Hey, well, we're going to get to that because you know what? After Prague and then Paris and then Ireland, when I was in Ireland, I started working at a Christian bookstore and I became very Christian. I even got like baptized. I was like all into reading the Bible, and I was also writing songs in Ireland. How did I have a guitar there? Oh yeah, I think I bought a guitar there. That's right. Yeah. But you know what though? After 6 months of being in a really strong Christian community, it was like I felt like I never went to the bars or anything. And I was new to the faith, and I just felt very repressed, you know? And I wanted to like work at bars and stuff, but like I lived with this guy that was Christian, and he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't work at a bar, that contributes to alcoholism." You know what I mean? So but yeah, I got a really strong sort of Christian thing right around when I turned 27. Yeah, I got baptized at the age of 27. The same age a lot of musicians are dying. I was getting baptized, so I made a recording of my song Work My Way Around the World actually that year with this guy in Ireland. He recorded it kind of like a reggae version. Since then, I've recorded that song with Peter DiStefano from Partner for Pyros. I recorded it with another producer, and I recorded multiple versions of that song that I wrote in Ireland. And also, I wrote a song called Time of Day. I wrote that in the Octagon Bar at the Clarence Hotel, which is owned by U2. I find Dublin to be a very interesting place, actually. Dublin, Ireland is a very interesting. I like a city that's sort of like, it's sort of international, but it's sort of not. It's sort of like London's more like New York City, right? And like Dublin's more like Seattle or something, where it's like you can walk across the whole city, right? But it still feels like very, like there's a lot, like you don't feel FOMO there. You feel like you feel like there's a lot going on there. You know what I mean? But it's still not like a huge city. I like cities like that. I like a medium-sized city. Of course, I love Tokyo, and Tokyo is the biggest city in the world. Tokyo is really special because it's not overwhelming in the way. It's sort of there's sort of a calmness to Tokyo that's really unusual for a big city. To me, I feel calm in Tokyo. I feel like I could just like walk all over the city, and I just really love it. I don't know. I kind of like LA too, though. I mean, a lot of people don't like LA. I feel like LA is actually a very walkable city in a lot of ways. The weather in LA is great too. It's always warm. So even though LA's got its problems, it's got a lot of cool stuff about it too. So anyway, coming back from Europe, 27 years old. 2003, I start working as a security guard at first I was working at like a strip mall. Then they put me at this like hospital where I had to there'd be like mental people going crazy and shit, and I had to restrain people. I didn't really like that. I think I think I might. Did I get fired from that job? I don't even know. I don't know what happened with that job, but it didn't work out. So I'm 27. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? You know what I mean? Again. So, of course, I moved to San Francisco. Oh, yeah, I was playing music with my friend Carlos a bit. Man, it's crazy that I knew Carlos that long. I haven't seen Carlos in a long time. But, okay. Uh, yeah, so I was kind of living around like Berkeley, San Francisco. I started going to school in Berkeley at the community college, and also some of the classes were on the campus, UC Berkeley, like the screenplay writing class. I've taken like a few screenwriting classes. I took a screenwriting class at Academy of Art. I took a screenwriting class at Berkeley Community College, and I took a screenplay writing class at LA City College. One cool thing is like at the Berkeley College, there was a guy in my class named Andy Asp, and he used to be in a band called Nuisance, and he was like friends with Green Day. And he was talking to me about how he hung out with Green Day and stuff. And they had like skate ramps and stuff in their like warehouse or whatever. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, he told me he was a Christian actually, which is kind of interesting because he was kind of in the punk rock scene. So I was surprised that he was like a Christian. Anyway, I wonder where he is politically. It'd be interesting to talk to him about all the stuff that's going on. But I remember I wrote a short screenplay about this thing I saw in LA where this bus driver kicked out these kind of like gay guys off the bus. It's just kind of like, I don't know. I don't remember what happened to that script, but it was pretty interesting. Okay, so then I got reacquainted with a musician friend of mine, right? And I went back to Santa Rosa and started playing music with him. This was 20 years ago. And actually 21, because I think it was 2004. And then me and my brother were in this movie about these twin detectives. Well, the twin detectives, we were just like a small role in the movie, but the movie never came out. But the guy that directed that movie directed one of my music videos later on. Red Jordan. What happened? Okay, so I start playing music a lot with my friend Darwin. And then there's this and then my friend Dan Gosby and this gay guy named Moon started playing with us. But then he got like mad at everybody and left, and then I recorded these songs, and then he got all mad. I don't know, it was weird. And I remember visiting my brothers in Colorado and just feeling all weird. And then I decided to go to Europe again. But this time I did not have a lot of savings. Oh yeah, because wait a second. I've skipped too much. I got hired at Radio Shack in Santa Rosa at the mall in 2004. And I started just kicking ass on phone sales because my Spanish was pretty good. There was one other guy that was better at Spanish than me because he was a Mexican guy, but I was like the second best at Spanish. So I was good at like selling phones to the Mexicans. Then I decided to transfer to San Francisco because I found out I could transfer to San Francisco. I transferred to San Francisco, and that was a mistake because everyone there spoke Russian and all the customers were Russian. And plus all the people that worked there were these big thieves, and they would steal shit, and then the manager would get like mad at me, and then the manager ended up firing me. It wasn't really my fault. You know, I do believe in stoicism and taking responsibility, but I also acknowledge that a lot of things that happen to us isn't really our fault. I think that a lot of people are persecuted in life and are victims of circumstance. And a lot of times when you hear somebody complaining, you get really annoyed. But a lot of times they're coming from a real place. And that's a really hard thing to swallow. That nobody really cares when they hear some guy, oh, neighbor. Because like, you just have to be stoic and just be like, wow, life sucks sometimes, sometimes there's just not justice, So anyway, after I got fired from Radio Shack, I was still living in San Francisco for a while, 2005, and then I decided to go to Europe because what happened was I was actually renting a room from a guy that was an older Ukrainian guy, and his health started failing and he had to leave. He had to go live in an old folks home or whatever. So I had to move out. I didn't know anything about like renters' rights or anything. I just was like, okay, I guess I have to leave. And then I'm like, I'm going to go to fucking Europe then. I had a friend named Bert who I'd met in 1995 in India, and he was from Switzerland. And he had all these meditator friends that lived all over Europe. And there's this one lady he was friends with in Paris, and she agreed to put me up and for a couple days and drive me to where he was, which is where in Eastern France. And then we were going to drive from Eastern France to Austria. And then we stayed in Austria at it was like a spiritual retreat. And I stayed there for like a whole month. I think I kind of overstayed my welcome, to be honest. And then and then he gave me a ride to his house, and I stayed at his house for a whole month. And I think I kind of overstayed my welcome there. I don't know. I tell him now, I say, hey, if I come to Switzerland, I won't stay at your house. Like, I'll get a hostel or something. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that now. I mean, it was just, I stayed at his house for like a month. That was not cool. I think I should send him some money, honestly. That was the first time I did MySpace. 2005 in the summer. I got a picture of a goat, remember? When we were on a bike ride. So yeah, Switzerland was really beautiful. I really like Switzerland. I think I'm going to go to Europe soon. 20-year reunion. Um, Austria was cool. Austria is where I wrote my song "Sit in the Silence." Um, Paris was cool. Uh, yeah, there's this bookstore there where people live. That was neat. Shakespeare and Company. So then I come back to Europe. It's 2005, and what do? Well, when I was in Europe, I decided I was going to move back to LA, and I hadn't been living in LA since the year 2000. So I was like, I'm going to go back. But then I decided I was going to work a few months first because I didn't want to just go there with no money. So I worked at this place called State Farm. What I did was I was doing some, I did some temp jobs, right? And then I got this job at State Farm. And I was doing like auto insurance subrogation. I don't even know what, I think what I was doing was I was looking up, you would look up cases and then you'd talk to people on the phone about what happened. It's interesting that I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just doing this insurance job. It's kind of funny now that I think about it. So then I decided that when I like around when I turned 30, I was going to go back to LA and just really try to do the music thing. Yeah, 30. That was in 2006. So it's, the funny thing about the State Farm thing is the job. What happened was that the office was shutting down and moving. That's why. Actually, the funny thing is, if I would have wanted to relocate, I probably could have. But see, it's like I didn't have a car. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I was always fucking trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? I was always fucking broke. Um, man, I got to cut this hair. Not looking good. So I moved to LA 2006. I guess it would have been the third time, right? Because I moved there in 97 and then I moved back in 99. And then now 2006. I met Jamie Soulblack, this musician guy. Like right after I got to LA. Like I think it was just like it was like a day after I came to LA. I met this guy who like I still know. And it was just so weird because what happened was there was a drummer that was staying at my friend's house in Venice. And I wanted to see if I could jam with this guy because he played drums. I kind of realized I wasn't really on the same level as the drummer, just in the stuff. I don't know. Like, I can't just explain it, but what happened was he was like, "Oh, this guy's coming over that wants to jam with me, blah blah blah," and that was Jamie. And so we all went to this bar, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So like, So the Jamie thing was kind of weird because like what happened was I hung out with them, and then like a week later I hung out with him and this guy Neil, and he would get really into these certain people that he meet, you know. Oh, you gotta meet this guy, he's so cool, blah blah blah, you know. And then I remember we went to the Jimmy Kimmel show. I think was it Forrest Whitaker? I don't know. Somebody was famous. I don't know. But it was the only time I've been on Jimmy Kimmel on the Jimmy Kimmel show. And it's weird when you go on those shows, what's so weird is they're really small. They're not like that many people. I remember Dickie Barrett was doing crowd warm up. And I later met this lady whose sister's married to him anyway. So anyway, so yeah, 2006, that was like my homeless year. I was just like, well, for like a month or two, I stayed at this really nice place in Venice in the canals, but then that was kind of crazy. I moved out. I'm staying at this dilapidated motel with my friend Rob. And then I end up helping my grandmother a lot because she was having a lot of problems. So I end up helping her shopping and this and that. And then she decides that she's going to go stay in an old folks home, and she said I could stay in her apartment because she didn't want to sell she didn't want to sell her condo because she felt like maybe she was going to move back or something, right? But she also didn't want to deal with like renting it out. So she just said that I could stay in her apartment. So I was like, hell yeah. So I actually started getting chicks finally too. Like not that many, but like I got this one girl and then I got this other girl who became my girlfriend. And it's like, I don't know. I started having like, sometimes you just need a place, you know? Anyway. So, yeah, 2007. That was when I was 31. So 2007 was when I started doing some really good recordings. Like I recorded my song Comatose, maybe The Meteor. I also recorded with Jamie's brother. I did a few songs, his studio in Oakland. I worked at this place called Earth Bar in West Hollywood, which is where I met Andre 3000. Then my brother came and moved in too because he's like, oh, I want to live in an apartment. Hey, you know what I mean? And then my cousin got married. I remember the summer 2007. And I was kind of in this on again, off again relationship with this girl for a long time. Yeah. And then in early 2008, I started kind of playing music with Jamie again, but more like as a bass player. Like I played bass in his band, and we opened up for this band that became Old Man Markley. It was like one of their first gigs, and they actually became kind of big.